Well, good evening there to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott Manning YouTube Sports Talk. I want to thank all of my loyal viewers for being with me here tonight. The newest the Week 13 college football playoff poll has been released. I've got the latest projections. I've got the latest information that you need. I'm going to go ahead and guide you through this here in the next little bit or so. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to let you know who the top 25 is. I'm going to let you know up front. Numbers 1 through 8 have not changed, and Ohio State stayed where they were at. But I'm going to address every single one of these positions, and you're going to understand where I'm coming from. At number 25 this week, Iowa State. After losing to Texas last Saturday night, they dropped 9 spots this week. The Pitt Panthers. They'll be facing Clemson for the ACC crown here in a couple of weeks. Boise State moved up 2 spots, up to number 12. Texas A&M. Welcome back to the top 25, my friends. You come in at number 22 this week. Utah State. They come in at number 21 after a big win. Syracuse, after they dropped to number 20. After getting their doors blown off by Notre Dame last Saturday, 36-3, they dropped 8 spots. Northwestern. Don't let that 7-4 record by the Wildcats fool you. They're a great football team. They did horrible when it came to non-conference, but within the Big Ten, they've been flawless. 1 loss to Michigan. That's it. At number 18, Mississippi State. They jumped up 3 spots this week. Utah at number 17. Utah will probably be playing in the Pac-12 championship game. At number 16 this week, the Washington Huskies. What can you say? They're back in it. At number 15 this week, Kentucky. Great showing by the Kentucky Wildcats this week. At number 14, Texas. After their big victory over Iowa State, and as a result of Oklahoma State upsetting West Virginia, that's changed everything in the Big 12 race. That means if Texas beats Kansas on Saturday, they're playing for the Big 12 crown. And speaking of West Virginia, and they come in at number 13 this week after getting knocked off by Oklahoma State this past Saturday. At number 12, Penn State. The Nittany Lions have had an up and down season, but they're coming in at number 12 this week. At number 11, the Florida Gators. What a week for them. That was a big week for them as well. At number 10, Ohio State. They better be thankful they held on to that number 10 spot after their performance last Saturday against Maryland. At number 9, UCF. UCF jumped Ohio State, and rightfully so. At number 8, Washington State. Great week for the Cougars. We keep waiting for them to mess up. They haven't yet. At number 7, it's LSU. Pretty good week for them. Number 6, Oklahoma. They got a big battle against West Virginia. I'll address that here in a minute. Coming in at number 5, Georgia. They'll be in the SEC championship game no matter what. Number 4, Michigan. They got a lot to lose this weekend against Ohio State. They got a lot to lose. At number 3, Notre Dame. They're just doing everything well. All they got to do is beat USC in the Coliseum. I know this is a difficult task. If they beat USC, they're in. At number 2, Clemson. They've just been flawless all season. And at number 1, Alabama. The Crimson Tide has just been very tough all week here. That's all you need to know. All right, now, let's have some fun with this. Now, I want to take some time and I want to talk about a few things. First thing I want to talk about, I got to talk about them. I have not given them a lot of respect all season, but number 19, Northwestern. Clayton Thorson, Pat Fitzgerald and company, you guys have really done a lot this season. And I've said it before, don't let that 7-4 record fool you, because Northwestern will be in the Big Ten championship game no matter what. But let's think about this for a minute. Northwestern's non-conference record was awful, but the conference record, almost flawless. 1 loss was to Michigan. That was it. But I will say this about Northwestern. They're a tough football team. It's going to be very interesting to see how they do against a team like either Michigan or Ohio State, because there's a lot at stake in that game, and I'll get to that in a minute. But some people in Chicago and some people around Evanston have said deep down inside, and I'm not making this up, they're kind of rooting for Michigan because they want another shot at them. And that's all there is to it. Will that happen? We don't know. But I will say this. You know Pat Fitzgerald's going to be ready because Pat Fitzgerald's faced Michigan before, and they know what they're about. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Let's jump up to number 16, the Washington Huskies. They've had an up and down season this year. Washington has had an up and down season. They can really make up for it because keep in mind, Washington will face Washington State on Friday night. And that's a biggie. The winner of that game will win the Pac-12 North and play for the Pac-12 title. And there's a lot at stake. Think about this. For Washington, Myles Gaskin, Jake Browning, they're a great combination. But for Washington, they've got Gardner Minshew, one of the best quarterbacks in the game. That's going to be a high-flying, home run derby type game tomorrow on Friday night. And that's all there is to it. The Pac-12 North will be up for grabs. And I'm going to say this. Could you imagine a battle like this on a Friday night? Which game will be watched? Would you watch that game or would you watch Oklahoma, West Virginia? I'll say this. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see how Gardner Minshew and Jake Browning match up. That would be something to pay top dollar for. But I'm going to say this, though. It's going to be a great game on Friday night. May the best team win. The Pac-12 North is up for grabs. And the way it looks right now, Utah could win the Pac-12 South. So Utah will probably be in the Pac-12 championship game, and the winner of Washington State will probably get to face Utah for the Pac-12 title. Now keep in mind, for the Washington State game, Washington doesn't have much to lose. But Washington State is fighting for a possible college football playoff spot. They haven't gotten much respect this season. But however, it's going to be something worth paying attention to. Because Washington could play the role of spoiler on Friday night. And that's all there is to it. Now, I've got to talk about this. Now, you've heard me talk about all week long about Oklahoma, West Virginia. It's got to be addressed. Oklahoma faces West Virginia on Friday night. Could they have to face each other twice? There's a possibility. Here's a possibility. Oklahoma could have to face West Virginia twice. It's just hypothetically, let's just say Kansas does the impossible and knocks off Texas. Keep in mind, Texas owns a victory over Oklahoma. There's something to think about there. West Virginia, they've beaten Texas already. Could we be possibly talking about a Texas-Oklahoma or a Texas-West Virginia rematch somewhere in the Big 12 championship game? There's something to think about there. And also, too, keep in mind about Sam Ehlinger. He had to leave the game in the second quarter due to a shoulder contusion. Will he be ready to go against Kansas on Saturday? There's some questions there. But as far as Oklahoma, West Virginia, look out. Will Grier versus Will Grier and Hollywood Marquise Brown? Let me back up. Kyler Murray and Hollywood Marquise Brown versus Will Grier and Gary Jennings Jr. and David Sills. That would be an interesting matchup. That would be a matchup we're seeing on Friday night. There's a trip to the Big 12 championship game at stake for both of these two because Texas is possibly going to, Texas should take care of Kansas. But I'm going to say this, though. Keep in mind, Oklahoma has a lot to lose. So does West Virginia's got a Big 12 championship to lose. Oklahoma, they're fighting for a college football playoff spot. So there's a lot to lose for them, too. It's going to be a big weekend for those two. Friday night is going to be crazy. And that's all I'm going to say about that right now. Now, the one game that really we need to think about is number 4 Michigan, number 10 Ohio State. Michigan's been clicking on all cylinders all season, and they're maturing through the weeks. Ohio State, they barely survived Maryland. They had a bad performance against the Terrapins last Saturday. I was sweating like bullets. My heart skipped a lot on Saturday. But when that game finally ended, I was thinking, oh, thank you. We're still in it. We're still in it for a college football playoff spot, but barely. Now, as far as the Michigan-Ohio State contest goes, they've already opened up as a 3-point. Michigan is a 3-point favorite. And a lot of people are surprised by that. A lot of people think it should be a touchdown favorite. However, this is the rivalry. And a lot of people have said when it comes to rivalry games, you wipe the slate clean, it's like starting all over again. It's going to be that kind of a game. But let me tell you something. It's going to be interesting to see this matchup. Which Ohio State team will show up? Will it be the team that played their hearts out against Michigan State? Or will it be the team that had to put 52 on the board and barely survive Maryland? There's a lot of questions there, too. I mean, one of the Maryland running backs had over 200 yards rushing at the end of the first half. The defense has to answer the bell. This is going to be one of those matchups that's going to be decided in the trenches. Because let's think about this. Ohio State, have been struggling for most of the season. But a major victory against Michigan would be huge. But as far as Michigan goes, they have a lot more to lose. Not just a Big Ten championship. Their college football playoff hopes could go out the window on Saturday. However, I will say this though. I will say this about Michigan. As much as I don't like Jim Harbaugh, and as much as the whiny little sissy girl that he is, I got to give Harbaugh credit. He has turned the Michigan football program around. Despite that loss to Notre Dame, Michigan's been flawless. The revenge tour has been nothing but spectacular. However, but I will say this though, be ready on Saturday, because you got to believe. Ohio State has struggled most of the season. Michigan's just been clicking on all cylinders. You got Shea Patterson, Karan Higdon. He's going to be the biggest headache for the Buckeyes on Saturday. And on top of that, they got a great wide receiver in Zach Gentry. Now, Dwayne Haskins he's doing much better. He's actually starting to run the ball a little bit more, and it's about time. I think he's been running it out of fear. But let me tell you, I will say this though. Now, Haskins has passed for 3,000 yards this season. If it weren't for Dwayne, and a lot of people have said if it weren't for Dwayne Haskins, we'd already have about 3 or 4 losses already. We'd be lucky to be in the top 25 at all. Which Ohio State team will show up on Saturday? Will it be the team that stopped Michigan State when they were only a 3.5-point favorite? They beat them by 20, or will it be the team that faced Maryland and barely survived? Only time will tell that. But Michigan, Ohio State, for the Big Ten East crown, the winner gets to face Northwestern. You better believe every Northwestern fan will be watching this game, because everybody realizes there's a lot at stake on Saturday afternoon in that game. Now, I want to do something here real quick. I want to talk about something. UCF, they jumped Ohio State, and rightfully so. Think about it. They beat the Cincinnati Bearcats. And I mean, UCF's been clicking on all cylinders. And some people have asked me, is there enough chaos in this world that UCF could jump up? Well, a lot of people have asked me that. You know what I've said? I said, UCF's still going to need some help. They are undefeated. They got a 23-game winning streak. Last year, they crowned themselves national champions, and very rightfully so. And they've said they want Alabama. That remains to be seen. But UCF has just been flawless all year. Is there enough chaos in this world for them to jump up? Well, some things are going to happen. Washington's got to upset Washington State. That's a given. They would need either... Now, Georgia's probably going to lose to Alabama, and Oklahoma's probably going to lose somewhere, maybe to West Virginia or maybe Texas in the Big 12 championship game. Could Ohio State possibly knock off Michigan and cause enough chaos? Could USC knock off Notre Dame in the Coliseum? There's a lot of questions. There's another big question. Alabama's probably going to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Most people know that. But I will say this hypothetically. For UCF to possibly get into the top 4, they would need West Virginia to knock off Oklahoma, and they would need Ohio State to knock off Michigan, and possibly have, for safe bets, they would need Washington to knock off Washington State on Friday night. I know there's a lot. I know it sounds like a lot, but anything can happen on a given Saturday. But I've said before, most people have come to me and said, Scott, there's not enough chaos in the world for UCF to jump up. Well, I know a lot's going to have to happen, but it's possible. All of this could happen. Washington State loses, they can move up one spot. If Oklahoma loses to West Virginia, they could jump up. And LSU, they got a big battle on Saturday too. No, I haven't forgot about them. You know Georgia's probably going to lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Could Ohio State knock off Michigan? Could Michigan choke? There's a lot of questions there too. But let's think about this. UCF beating Cincinnati helped their case. Could it be the second year in a row they go undefeated? It could happen. And you know UCF's already said, we want Alabama. You know something? UCF may be a group of five, maybe in a group of five conference instead of a power five. I could see UCF challenging Alabama. I really could. Think about it. Tua Tagovailoa hasn't been himself. They've only scored like maybe 29 points, 22 and 29. They only scored 29 against LSU in the shutout. I was looking for them to maybe put 45 to 50 on the board. I think a lot of people were looking at that too. But keep in mind, it's rivalry Saturday. And I will say this. Every rivalry game from Alabama to Auburn, you wipe the slate clean. Michigan, Ohio State, same deal. Notre Dame, USC, same thing. Washington State, it's like starting all over again. And of course, you got Oklahoma, West Virginia. They're fighting for a Big 12. They're fighting for a spot in the Big 12 championship. Texas beats Kansas. Texas is in. And that's all that matters right now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for my closing thoughts. A lot of people have approached me and saying, rivalry Saturday, what does it mean to you? I say this. It means if you hate a school, you cheer against them. If you don't care about either school, you watch the game anyway and just say, I don't care, but I'm watching it anyway. It's the right thing to do. But I will say this, though. There's a lot at stake on rivalry Saturday. Michigan, Ohio State, the Big Ten East, and the right to play in Northwestern for the Big Ten championship. Oklahoma, West Virginia. There's a trip to the Big 12 championship at stake. Texas should take care of Kansas, like I said. Anything can happen on a given Saturday. Washington State. The Pac-12 North is up for grabs, and the winner of that will be in the Pac-12 championship. But a lot of people have asked me, what about Northwestern? Could you see them knocking off either Michigan or Ohio State? And I said, it could happen. Anything can happen. It usually does. But let's think about this. You know Northwestern wants Michigan one more time. And a lot of people in Evanston, Illinois, in the Chicagoland area have said the same thing. Now, the one I'm watching with special interest, Notre Dame, USC. Now, I know USC's had a bad season. They've been struggling all year long. But can USC pull off the impossible in the Coliseum? We'll have to wait and see on that, because you know Southern Cal, the USC Trojans are going to give Notre Dame everything. Basically, for Notre Dame, they made their case, but they need to do one more thing. Beat USC in the Coliseum. That sounds like a humongous task, but anything can happen. Basically, for Notre Dame, they win, they're in. Basically, it's Alabama and Clemson. It's the number 4 spot that's it's very much up for grabs. Ohio State can knock off Michigan. That would be huge. You know Georgia's probably going to lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game. And you know Oklahoma's got to face West Virginia on Friday night and possibly have a possible rematch against them in the following week. Or Oklahoma could have to face Texas in the Big 12 championship game. There's a lot to think about, too. And you know Texas has beaten Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout. And you know Oklahoma's going to want another shot at them. And that's all that matters right now. And a lot of people have said, rivalry Saturday, you wipe the slate clean. Some of these rivalry games, you can't. Because if you look in the Big Ten of Michigan, Ohio State, a lot of people have said they don't have much to lose. And Michigan's got a lot to lose. And those people are right. Ohio State will probably only be playing for a shot at the Big Ten championship. But Michigan has a lot to lose. Their college football playoff hopes, a national title. The Wolverines haven't been this good in years. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on Saturday. And even on Friday night. Because you know Washington State face off on Friday. Oklahoma, West Virginia, same thing. It's going to be very interesting to see how this Saturday goes out. And I'm going to tell you now, it's going to be crazy come Friday night and on Saturday as well. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time with me here tonight. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Scott Manning. All you have to do is type my name, scroll down, look for this pretty face, click subscribe, and you'll see all the sports videos I have done so far. And I just want to let you guys know, Friday morning, 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be doing a very special edition of the Scott Manning YouTube College Football Podcast pregame show. And starting Friday morning, November 30th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be doing another Friday morning show. Only the name of the show is going to change. It's going to be the Scott Manning YouTube College Football Basketball show. I'm going to get you ready for a very busy Saturday in college football and a fairly busy Saturday in college basketball. I haven't forgot about the basketball season, but there's been too much in the world of college football going on at the moment. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time with me here tonight. My next video will be at 9 a.m. Eastern Time when I do my college football podcast pregame show. I want to thank you guys tonight for being with me. Thank you so much for being with me. And you guys have a great night. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless.